Hello, folks. Chris Daly here, and boy, do we have a delightful person to engage with you today. We have Jenelle Alexia. In a world where creativity meets purpose, Jenelle stands as a bridge between the continents of culture and generations. Born in the United States of Jamaican parents, she has become one of the most dynamic voices in the Caribbean diaspora. She's a fashion designer, award-winning author, and app developer, an actress, and a global literacy advocate. Boy, get a cup of tea, listen in. This young lady is going to share with us about her roots, her vision, and giving back to an island that raised her spirit. To do the interview is my co-partner, Janice. Janice, take it away.
Well, thanks, Chris. Janelle, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
You were born in the United States to Jamaican parents. You can share some of your earliest memories on how Jamaican culture shaped your identity and creativity growing up.
So, yes, I was born in the United States and my parents are Jamaican. To me, Jamaica is like my heartbeat. Yes, I'm born here in America, but everything to me is the Jamaican culture. I don't know how to even really be American, so to say. My parents raised me around a lot of music, food, discipline, the joy and the culture of Jamaica, the everyday life. Some of my earliest memories that I remember the most is constantly traveling on the Air Jamaica plane, visiting my dad in Jamaica. And every time I was always going to go see him, he would make sure the whole entire community knew, oh, my foreign daughter come, my foreign daughter reach. Like he will
Nice.
paint the whole house all over again just because I was coming. He'll drop the top of his BMW, telling everyone up and down the community, "Oh, I'm here," and just create this big excitement over me. So to me, I guess my dad kind of shaped me to be, well, to know that I'm going to be a star because he kind of put it in my head from when I was a child.
Yeah, so your father is, w- I guess your father would be the influence and the major.
The
Or who
biggest,
or what
yeah.
is the biggest influence during your childhood? Perhaps a teacher, artist, family tradition that,
Um, I'm I'm gonna say that when it came to the dressing up and stuff like that, it would have been my mom. And then when the business aspect of things, it would be my father. But the culture, I used to sit back and all the time and watch the dancers. Like I used to love watching John Ipe and Bogo and Shankadip and the street dancers at the time at my era.
mm,
I used to love watching them and just understanding like their dance moves and their clothes, and that was my thing growing up. The
bef-
music and the dancing, truly.
well, artistry is definitely impacted on you. So before
Exactly.
you became a let's say, author, fashion designer, producer, and app creator, what moment or experiences convinced you that this was a journey for you?
It honestly took me some time. I went to college, got my degree and things like that. But again, it goes back to my dad. When my dad got murdered, after that, it kind
Ooh.
of just changed my whole perspective on like what was next for me. And I lost my scholarship when I went to his funeral. So after that, it was just like, what am I gonna do now once I lost my job? So it was like, oh. And then everything from there kind of just like started to download in me, and it was just like, okay, well, this didn't work, this didn't work. I still have my business degree, so what do we do from here? And then
Mm.
was how I started a Legends, because I'm like, to me, my dad left a legacy, so I want to, do the same going forward for my child.
Yeah, I see. Your children's storybook have touched thousands of young readers. What inspired the character Kiara, and what message do you hope young readers, especially the Caribbean diaspora, to take from her journey?
Well, firstly, my hope is that that the kids that read the story, read the books, that they remember who they are, and just overall the fact that I did mention the culture or put pieces of the culture in the book when it came back to, as I said, like the Air Jamaica plane. To me, that was something that I grew up on, and we no longer have that. So that, to me, that's history.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, that is my pieces of history. um the little girl Kiera, she is me. The only difference with Kiera was that Kiera actually went through a competition and things like that. Whereas though in my real life story, I didn't go through a competition. I was just getting fight from my community. When I decided to move forward with the A Legends brand. But designing, as I said, when it came back to my mom, I used to love seeing my mom dress up and things like that. So I kind of got the idea of fashion and modeling and stuff like that from her. But I kind of just I went overboard, so to say. I took it up a notch. I took it up a notch, and then, as I said, with my dad, also always putting that in my mind, like you're gonna be a star, and having everyone look at me when I was younger, and here I am now. It's just like, hey, that was my story. And I started to teach at a school at a time, and a lot of little young girls was looking up to me, and I'm like, how could I possibly get them to pick up a book? But I started telling my story, and that's what helped me create the first children's book that I did. Although
Yeah.
I have two children's book. That's not just the first book. The first two books I have. I have another book called A Legend's Pressure, which is helping others,
Right.
start their business. So it's really
Hmm.
total.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by you. Legend started a lifestyle brand, but has grown into a movement that blends fashion, empowerment, education. What guiding philosophy drives the brand's evolution?
All right. So the philosophy behind the brand is pretty simple to me. A legends is who we are in our weakest moment, a reminder that we can endure everything and still come out victorious. The message that with that message, that was something that I created when I was in a really hard spot.
Mhm.
And I realized that the more I kept pushing that and kept, reciting it to myself, I began to believe it. And the more I put it out there in the atmosphere, the people that were actually wearing the brand, like they started to look at themselves like they were legendary, and
Mhm.
they felt empowered within themselves, even wearing the brand. And just knowing that I started to create that little bit of hope and, um,
Yeah, well, I think the whole purpose of brands is to create a feeling, you
yeah,
know?
and
If
it,
I
it
wear
definitely
this,
worked.
if I drive that. So A Legends is positive, very positive.
Absolutely,
You've
very
managed
positive.
to merge fashion with technology and literature into it. Ecosystem? Would that be the right word? Sometimes you've done a few. What has been the biggest lesson or breakthrough in the crossing of those industries successfully?
Um, Goodness, that's hard. I'm not even sure what. um, hmm. Well, the breakthrough definitely was realizing that I can create. Yes, I created a lane, but I can create a bridge. I can
Hmm.
go in between any lane that I want, and no one can tell me that I'm doing too much or that I have to stop. I can go as far as I want to go with one thing and stop something else and go to the next and keep crossing over. A child can easily wear the A Legends brand easily, but by them also picking up a book, they're learning something about themselves. If they eventually decide that they want to go look me up, they might get inspired. Their parents were looking to who's this author? They'll get inspired. So it's a long list to it, really.
Yeah, and you're definitely staying on top of technology with the new A Legend app that turns learning into creative experiences, right? How do
Right.
you see technology reshaping the way children, especially under source communities, how do they learn to imagine their future? What do you
Well,
think?
hmm. With tech these days, is everyone is into technology. You
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can't take these kids off of their tablets, the phones. They always want the phone. They always want the tablets. Like, you can't take it away from them.
It's good, but
So
it's bad
It
because
is.
when I was growing up, we didn't. It was just unimaginable. I mean, it was just you. They didn't even want you watching. Well, in my household, they didn't want you watching too much TV. And that's what the children are really doing. They're watching a screen.
Right.
So that's
Um,
something to take into consideration.
Absolutely, but that's also with the parents. They have to also be mindful of how long they have their child on those screens for. So I can't say, hey, I'm not in every household, but there's limitations on that. But that comes through the parenting, if you understand what I'm saying. It's on the rules within the household. But with the on my end of things, it's like I plan on putting music that I've produced inside of the app that's uplifting the kids. We all know that music is very powerful. Music can start here and end up in China. When
Mm-hmm.
I mean here in America and end up in China, end up in Africa, like so many different places. So there is no limitation when it comes to the app. It can get to anyone, just like how music can get to anyone, anywhere.
Anyway, in
The
the way.
clothing, yeah, the clothing may be a little bit more challenging because at some point people may try to, bootleg my brand, so to say. But
Unfortunately.
unfortunately, but when it comes to the app or when it comes to the music, it can't be replicated.
Hmm. Well, your success is not going unrecognized. Yeah, the
Right.
diaspora
Yes.
is just giving you some love.
Yes.
Receiving the Diaspora Excellence Award is a remarkable honor. And what does that recognition mean to you personally? And how does it deepen your commitment to Jamaica and other wider Caribbean diaspora?
Well, receiving the award was it was definitely emotional for me.
Hmm.
It really was. It felt like it was like a bridge between the two worlds that I'm a part of, the one that I was born in and the one that I actually came from. It definitely affirmed me that my work is definitely bigger than myself and what I even think it is, really. Furthermore, it's deepened my commitment to Jamaica. I mean, even that now that with me doing the relief for the hurricane. So I feel like I've
Yeah.
I've been given the extra responsibility, and this is just the cross that God has put on me and say, hey, you gotta
So
you gotta
it's good
take
that
this.
you're giving back after the storm in the
Yeah,
wake of Hurricane Melissa. Many
absolutely,
Jamaicans are struggling,
very much
believe me,
so. Yeah.
struggling to rebuild. How do you envision creatives and entrepreneurs in the diaspora, including yourself, to contribute to Jamaica's long-term recovery and renewal?
Well, first of all, rebuilding the country is going to take unity. Um,
Hmm.
it takes a lot of unity, and just like how I have a platform, my platform may not be like Sean Paul's, it may not be like Shaggy's, it may not be like Spice. But I have a platform, and I decided to use my platform just like they've used their platform to bring as much awareness and to use my resources to get as much as I can to provide the aid and the relief for them.
And there's a Jamaican saying, every mickle make a muckle.
Every mickle.
So, because for yourself no, no big, you know,
It,
to
but
feel way.
but in a little eater, it's not big, but in a little.
Right.
So
Now,
because I know I have my platform, I'm going to utilize it to the best of my ability. And to me, at this point, I have about 5 barrels packed from just what I've done so far.
nice, nice. Big up to you. Me have Lego in the pathway, you know? Legacy and vision. So, looking ahead, when a new generation of girls in Jamaica and abroad at your story, what do you hope they'll see? And how do you hope your work helps them to believe in their own creative power?
So for the next generation of girls, I would definitely want them to look at my story and see possibility and hope. I've also grown up oftentimes hearing where the Jamaicans, so to say, they be like, y'all not Jamaican, y'all Yankee. But in where we are now, I'm sure that's not necessarily something to even be saying because right now we all need one another more and more. And I'm not the only child that was born in America to Jamaican parents. There's plenty more that's out there that have migrated and had to do the same thing. So there's a lot of younger, girls and even little boys that's, coming up. And as I said, I just want them to definitely look at my story and look at and think of possibilities and see possibilities.
Mhm.
Where they start, doesn't compare to where they're going to end. And if as long as you have a goal and you focus on what your goals are, and listen to your inner voice, listen to your inner voice, and follow your dreams, follow your goals. And I would definitely hope that my work reminds them of their creativity. That creativity is power, and it can get you far.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And Jamaican culture is very strong. So people, I mean, for example, reggae music is literally played in on all seven continents. So
Absolutely.
we we look about with Talawa.
Lick
So
about with Talawa, yeah, and
Talawa, true, true, true.
that, yeah,
So the journey that you're on is proof that purpose and creativity are intertwined, right?
absolutely.
And can transcend borders. So from New York to Jamaican classroom, the mission is clear.
Very
Build a
clear.
legacy where every child, and I do mean every child, um, especially those in the Caribbean, discovers the legend within. We've had such a wonderful time talking to you. So, to learn more about Jamaican diaspora, visit JamaicanDiaspora.com. To learn more about Chris Daly, visit AskChrisDaly.com. And Janelle, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
Well, you can contact me on Instagram. That's my favorite place to be, at J_Alexia Banks. That's J_ALEXIABANKX. Or you can always go on the A Legends website, which is www.alegendslb. That's ALEGENDSLB.net.
All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by. Bye now.
Thank you for having me.